Welcome in, everybody. Welcome back to Talk the Plank. We are in episode 8, and I got a very special guest today. I got my good friend, Ben, man. This dude I grew up with basically in my 20s, like all through my years at FSU. He knows his shit. He is unfortunately a Lakers fan. He is also a San Francisco 49ers fan. So I've brought him on the show this week. He is going to help us deep dive into this team that we are facing. This is going to be a very, very, very difficult game considering how badass that defense is playing for the San Francisco 49ers this year. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were not that good on offense anymore. Unfortunately, we were a 30-point per game team last year, and now we're barely scratching the surface at 18 points per game. That can be due to some inept coaching that we've seen out of Byron Leftwich. Can't wait to get his ass out of here. We can't wait to get on to the next offensive coordinator. And hopefully we're not losing our quarterback to this team that we're playing this week. So, without further ado, I'm Salty Buccaneer, and I'm welcoming in my friend Ben. Ben, how you doing, bro?
Doing great, man. Can't wait for this game this weekend. It's quite a lot of storylines, especially with Tom Brady coming home. Especially with him in the media this week saying kind of salty that the 49ers didn't pick him up. But we'll see this offseason. It's going to be quite an interesting time.
Right. That doesn't really help. That stoking the flames a little bit about whether or not he wanted to go to the 49ers in the first place instead of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's been at the forefront. There were people saying that he was going to come out of retirement in the offseason just to go to the 49ers, that y'all were going to have to trade for him, bring him back over to the West Coast. I know his parents are out there. They still live out there, and, they're not getting any younger. So we probably will see this man move on to the San Francisco 49ers. But, right now, he plays for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we are trying desperately to move a game over 500. This is ridiculous that we're even talking about this deep into the season, but we did just finally get to 500 after completing a pretty miraculous 14-point comeback against the New Orleans Saints, who we hate thoroughly. Now, Ben, why don't you tell me a little bit about what we're running into with this buzzsaw 49ers defense?
Well, with the 49er defense, we are the number one defense ranked in both passing and running. So in order for you guys to actually succeed in this game, I feel like you are going to have to try to get some type of run game. Otherwise, that D-line, Nick Bosa, is going to tear up Tom Brady. And even though Tom Brady is the GOAT, with all that pressure in his face, it's going to be quite tough ride there, even with our new signing of our quarterbacks, in the back end, kind of trying to cover the wide receivers over there. It's going to be, it's going to be a great game. And I feel like our defense is going to dominate, but you never know, you always have the GOAT there. So it's going to be quite a ride against our defense there.
That's pretty interesting. You bring that up because we've had a lot of, a lot of shit happened to us in the past couple weeks as far as the offensive line goes. We lost our best lineman for the next couple weeks. Thank God he's not out for the year. But Tristan Wirfs will not be lining up at right tackle this week. It will be Josh Wells again. Josh Wells, he was pitiful in the playoffs against the Rams. He got destroyed, but that was against Von Miller, so that's understood. That was kind of a given that was going to happen. But he played a little better last week against the Saints. He didn't play great, but he held his own. Tom Brady didn't get sacked because of Josh Wells. So with that being said, where are we probably going to see Nick Bosa lining up? We're going to see him on the left tackle, Donovan Smith, who cannot get out of his own way lately. Says it's something personal that he's dealing with. I don't know about that, man. It's probably just shitty play, and he's kind of coming up with some excuses. But if it is something personal, I hope he gets better. But he needs to play better because in back-to-back weeks, this man almost cost the Bucs a chance at a win. So, he did cost the Bucs a chance at a win against Cleveland. But it didn't work out that way against the Saints. Luckily, after the Chris Godwin touchdown got called back, Rashad White ended up scoring the game-winning touchdown. So where are we gonna see Bosa line up? Nick Bosa.
Well, Nick Bosa kind of has authority to line up on either side, right? So he gets to kind of choose the matchup of what he wants to choose. So sometimes you'll see him line up on the left side, sometimes you'll see him on the right side. But and most likely, he usually does line up on the left-hand side where your left tackle is, especially with Armstead coming back. You know, he impacted the game last week against Miami quite a bit. He was able to push the interior line in, giving Nick Bosa a little bit more time, allowing him to get that triple sack game last week. So with your, rookie, with your not starting tackles in, it's going to be quite an interesting game to see if they can stop that Bosa factor.
Yeah, man, it's interesting you bring up Eric Armstead, man. I forgot all about him, bro. Last time I saw that man live, I was at the Rose Bowl when Florida State was getting their ass kicked by Oregon, and that man was wreaking havoc all over the field. He's still a badass, and as I'm pretty jealous that you got it coming on both sides. But the one thing that we got going in our favor is our defense isn't too shabby either.
Yep.
And y'all did just lose Jimmy Garoppolo for the year with that foot injury. So tell me a little bit about Brock Purdy, man. What are we going to see out of him?
So that's the unknown, right? The Brock Purdy first start of the game. So usually it wasn't the stat that Tom Brady's never lost to a first-time starting quarterback, right? So let's see if he can break that streak. But I would say from him at least, what a lot of people are saying on the radio here in the Bay Area is that Brock Purdy does have that. You know, since he played 4 years at Iowa State, you know, he's got that kind of he's definitely different than Trey Lance, right? He's got that gameplay in the college time, so he's got that experience behind, you know, at least be able to see some defenses. So at least last week, you know, even though he came in the game late, you know, he was able to do some quite confident throws. That George Kittle third down throw in, you know, getting pressure in front of his face, that was a dime. You know, without that throw, you probably wouldn't have won that game. But I would say he just has to. We have so many check down. You know, we have Christian McCaffrey there to be able to be a check down running back. So as long as he can keep himself in the pocket and throw some good passes, I feel like, you know, it should be a pretty interesting game.
Yeah. Christian McCaffrey, man, we know him very well, very, very well from his time with the Carolina Panthers. And luckily, we've done pretty well against Christian McCaffrey. So I know he's come on strong lately for the 49ers. I know he's kind of been the go-to for touchdowns. And, you know, he's been doing his thing out there in San Francisco. But I mean, we're that team that shuts him down, along with Alvin Kamara, you know, all the other running backs in our division, except for, you know, Dante Foreman. We're not going to get into the Panthers yet, though. We got them coming up. But with that offense that you do have George Kittle, like you said, man, and he can get open anywhere. He's one of the best route running tight ends in the league. He's right up there with Kelsey, Mark Andrews. All of them are fighting for who's the best tight end in the league. Honestly, George Kittle is a hell of a blocker too, man. Like the dude is just fundamentally sound top to bottom. I love his game. I'm gonna hate it on Sunday when I'm watching it against us. I mean, most likely we're probably gonna put Devin White on him, even though he's not the best in coverage. It's just because, you know, Levante Davis lost a little bit of a step because he's getting a little older. And I mean, he played phenomenally against the New Orleans Saints the other night, man.
Yep.
He had like 12 tackles and he was great in coverage. He got a sack in that game, but more than likely we're going to try to go with some youth against George Kittle. Now, Todd Bowles was talking about that we're supposed to get all of our guys back except for Tristan Wirfs this week. So that defense is getting healthier. You know, if we got Antoine Winfield out there at safety, you know, he's one of the best safeties in the league. He's right up there with the best of them, and you know, he's going to get to the quarterback too. We use him a lot in blitz packages. We disguise him. We play him in the nickel a little bit. We just got Logan Ryan back too, so our communication on defense is going to be there too. You know, y'all got a great defense. We got a really good one, so it's going to be a defensive battle. And like you said, Tom Brady's never lost to a rookie quarterback, but that old saying about first time for everything, hopefully that doesn't come true. Hopefully he buckles in. We saw him last year when he went up to New England. He kind of got distracted a little bit by all that. So hopefully he's not distracted by the whole, oh, I'm back in my hometown. I'm in front of my people, like my family, my friends, everybody that I grew up with is here. I want him to, dial in because he's actually at a career low right now for average depth of target. It's like 7.5 yards. And that is terrible right now, especially considering the weapons he's got. But the reality of which is he just doesn't trust this offensive line. It's kind of makeshift with you got Josh Wells out there at right tackle. Donovan Smith is regressing back to the Donovan Smith that we knew before Tom Brady got to Tampa Bay. Obviously we lost Ryan Jensen, Ali Marpet. We were able to bring in Shaq Mason, but I mean, he's coming off a game. He just got destroyed by the Saints, and hopefully he's rebounding on that. And Nick Leverett took over at left guard, he's all right, but like this is a dude that he is susceptible to get beat. So even though Tom Brady has only been sacked 18 times this year, he has been sacked 8 times in the past 5 weeks. So that worries me a little bit with that defense of yours. And
would you say you talk about earlier about the offense not clicking? Would you say that with Tom Brady missing that preseason, a lot of people are saying that he wasn't able to connect with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? Do you think that affects that at all, or is it just kind of their O-line just being decimated and him being in the back there, not trusting that O-line?
I think it's a combination of things. I mean, we're a little far into the season for it to still be the whole training camp thing. I think we're over that. They had a bye week, and they've had plenty of practices together in the meantime. So I don't think that's so much of what it is. A lot of it had to do with Chris Godwin getting back to 100%. He's still not at 100%. I'd say he's probably at like 85 right now, but he's been playing better the past couple weeks. He's coming off that knee surgery. Towards ACL, MCL, everything from that dirty hit by PJ Williams, man. I will never forgive that man for that. And then Mike Evans, they're not listing him on that injury report, but I know he's still injured from that Rams game where he took that shot to the ribs, man. I think he has some cracked ribs. He hasn't really been able to get his range of motion that we're used to, where, this man can stretch out and make any catch. We haven't seen that in a couple weeks, ever since that Rams game. And really, Brady's overthrew him quite a few times this season, so that chemistry needs to get back on par. Luckily, Julio Jones is finally coming on, man. Ever since the Seattle Seahawks game, Julio has been steadily getting back to not the Julio Jones that we all know, but a pretty good version of Julio Jones. So I'm expecting him to be used quite a bit. We'll see how they balance that out as that third receiver with Russell Gage, who's also getting healthy finally from that hamstring that's been bugging him all season. So it's a lot of things factoring into how our receiving core is not on the same page or running a bit slow, not connecting with Tom Brady the way that, you'd like to see. But definitely that offensive line is responsible for quite a bit.
Most definitely. I mean, it's going to be interesting too for your defense. You guys got to be able to tackle, right? Because as you know, we got the Yak brothers, right? We got Brandon Ayuk, we got Deebo Samuel, we got George Kittle, we got Christian McCaffrey. All these guys can, after the catch, they're going to be able to run some yards, especially with this new quarterback. I don't think they're going to be throwing too many deep balls, so your safeties aren't going to have to be worried too much, but I feel like it's going to be a lot of short passes, a lot of intermediate passes, a lot of attack the middle. So it's going to be quite a test for your defense too, man. Even though you do have a good defense, it's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, I believe we're ranked like number 5 right now for defense and total defense, and as far as scoring defense goes. So we're holding teams pretty low scoring. We're not really getting beat by the explosive play this year. Jamel Dean is having a hell of a year as a cornerback this year. Like, his coverage has been phenomenal this season compared to seasons past. And Carlton Davis, that's a steady Eddie. He's going to get a lot of pass breakups. Probably not going to look to him to get an interception. He doesn't have a single one this year. It would be fantastic if he gets one this week. We're actually, despite how low we hold teams, we're not really a team that forces turnovers. So with a rookie quarterback coming in, you're going to hope, in our case, we're going to hope that we can get a turnover on a rookie mistake, something like that. Because like you were saying, Ayuk and, Debo, all these guys, they're going to get out there, they're going to get after it. And we got to be sound tackling. But, Devin White struggled a couple of games this season with his tackling. He's missed a lot of tackles this year. We're not used to seeing that. He's usually pretty sound at doing that. But it depends what version of him we're going to get in this game. If we get the Devin White that showed up against Seattle and shut Kenneth Walker down, I'm not worried about Christian McCaffrey at all. All right. And Kittle, he's gonna be on him. He's gonna be sound on him if we get that version. But if we get the version of Devin White that was lackadaisical, that had Warren Sapp calling for him to have his captain's patch removed off his jersey, man, that was huge. It's got to come down to sound tackling, like you said, man.
Yeah, where would you say you guys think that Tampa Bay has any advantage over us? I mean, I personally don't, but I mean, what would you say? Do you have any advantage? Special teams, defense, offense?
No, not special teams. Not special teams. We have the worst special teams in the league, man. And we just let Jalen Darden go. That was our kick returner, sometimes punt returner. Man, we let him go. We waived him in order to make room for a couple of guys. KJ Britt's coming back from injury. So he's one of our special teams linebackers that's going to be out there. Hopefully that improves because our kick coverage has sucked this year. But if I had to say where we would have an advantage, maybe safety, maybe, oh God, I mean, obviously quarterback, but it's hard to find them, honestly, because, Christian McCaffrey versus Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White. Rachaad White's a rookie. Leonard Fournette has regressed this year. So I can't really find an advantage there. It honestly, it's we have to get lucky. That's how I'm looking at this game. I had this game circled as a loss before we even, 4, 5, 6 weeks back. I had this game circled as a loss. I'm not expecting to win this game, but I would love to win this game because it is an NFC matchup, and that will definitely help with the seeding for the playoffs. Because right now, y'all are third, right, in the seeding, and we're fourth. So
yeah, I believe so. Yep.
If it comes down to it, potentially winning this game can help us vault over you guys down the stretch, depending on how it shakes out at the end of the year.
Yeah, especially because your conference isn't right now your conference isn't the greatest conference, right? So I feel like even though
the division,
you guys should, your division. I mean, your division, yeah. So you guys should have the momentum. Even if you guys lose this game, I feel like you still have the momentum to make the playoffs in the future. So this game is just probably a good test in the middle right here, before you start, gaining that momentum to the playoffs. Just kind of a test to make sure that you guys have it in you,
Yeah, barring colossal fuck up, we're gonna win this division. We're gonna go back to the playoffs. We're gonna be at least the 4th seed. So right now, I think we're slated to match up against the Cowboys in the wild card round, since it looks like the Eagles are gonna run away with that division. Ideally, I would prefer to play somebody else. I don't really want to play the Cowboys, especially the way that their defensive line is playing right now. I don't even want to play you guys a second time, man. Y'all are scary on defense. And if Brock Purdy can get his shit together and, impress a little bit, be like, what was it? A couple years ago, you had Nick Mullins came in, played a few games, played pretty well. Thing that sucks is we're obviously going to be out-coached in this game a little bit because, Byron Leftwich got his head up his ass on offense. And, Todd Bowles, we're seeing the stupid mistakes that he was making when he was with the Jets. couple weeks ago, you know, he needed to call a timeout against Cleveland. He didn't call it, and that led to us having to go to overtime. We ultimately lose that game. If there's any team that can get by with a rookie quarterback making his first start, it's that Shanahan offense. You know, because you guys are gonna run the ball a lot. You know, we already know that. Whether you line Debo up in the backfield or you split with Christian McCaffrey, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can attack our defense on that. And we got to be sound. Like, we got to minimize how many scoring opportunities that we give you guys, because we're struggling to put up points against some of the worst defenses in the league. So playing y'all, it's going to be even harder. You know, I really hope that this doesn't end up being one of those 13-0 games that New Orleans just faced against you guys. So, you know, we got our hands full in this game is at a crucial juncture of the season. Luckily, we got a little bit of cushion on Atlanta because they've been losing lately, and we did get another win. We did pull ahead of them a little bit. But y'all got Seattle nipping at your heels, so we know you guys are motivated too. And now you got Baker Mayfield to deal with, right?
Yeah,
you watched that game last night?
Yeah, that was a ridiculous ending, man. That was basically just, I saw a stat today. It was basically just like the Tom Brady ending. They scored at the 2-minute mark, right, or something like that, and then stopped the defense and came right back and scored an 80-yard drive. It's ridiculous, man.
16-3 comeback, man. It's the new 28-3. It's in vogue now.
Oh yeah, that must have been the craziest starts for Baker Mayfield, especially him leaving Carolina. Like, thank God, because he found a better team.
Did you see the video after the game with McVay giving out the game ball, man?
No, I did not. What happened?
Oh man, like he was giving out the game ball. He gave one to one of the coaches, and then he gave the game ball to Baker Mayfield. And if you look in the video, you can see Matt Stafford in the background, and you just see that look on his face. He's like, fuck. You know, like, because he knows, like, I'm making a hell of a lot of money. They might try to make me a cap casualty and just ride with Baker Mayfield if they got to rebuild, you know, like, so it's interesting. Y'all got a hell of an interesting division, man. I mean, we still got to play the Arizona Cardinals later this year on Christmas Day. They're as dysfunctional as us. I can see that game being a dub for us, but it would be really, really nice to beat y'all this weekend. That would be fantastic. But what's ultimately going to matter is in the playoffs, if we match up, that's the one we got to win. So a lot on the plate right now.
That is true, man. It's the NFL, though. It's week to week, right? It could be also a trap game for the 49ers. You can't, we can't keep our pedal off the metal, just as you mentioned, because the Seahawks are nipping on our backs, and we still got to face the Seahawks later on in the season. So we can't lose this game. We're only, I think, a game ahead of the Seahawks right now. So this game is pretty important to us in that case, especially at home here on Sundays. This is our fourth home game in a row, so we should certainly have the advantage. This should be a pretty easy game for us, but I don't want to say anything. We lost to the Chicago Bears earlier this year, which I never thought we would lose, so I can't say much.
Tom Brady's not going to beat you with his legs, man. You ain't got to worry about him pulling some Justin Fields shit on you, man. Like, that's not going to happen. So it's a little bit of a different beast when you're playing us. Y'all just got to stay in front of Julio, Mike, and Chris Godwin. And honestly, I would expect a heavy dose of Chris Godwin over the middle. So that brings up my next point, man. Y'all are loaded everywhere on defense, man. Like, y'all got Ward out there and, like, everywhere, man. Like, dude, let's talk about this, man.
Yeah, I mean, the only position we aren't technically loaded at is our corner position, right? Just because Emmanuel Mosley went down with an injury earlier this week, so we got our third-year quarterback in there. They could either rotates between, what's his name again? I'm blanking on it, but he's technically our weakest spot. I mean, Jimmy Ward's covering the safety. He's covering the slot receiver, so he's kind of a safety cover right there. And then Fred Warner, especially talking about middle passes. Fred Warner, I would say he's probably the best linebacker in the league, and he can cover that middle zone. He can cover that middle zone really well. So Tom Brady better watch out for that middle zone area, and especially you got that pick last week. I feel like we're destined for another pick this week. So
yeah, it's between him and Shaq Leonard. So, Like those are my two guys that I would pick to be the best linebackers in the league right now. But yeah, dude, he's amazing at coverage, man. Like I've watched him quite a bit, and he's just feasting out there. And I would love to see us sneak a couple by him, see if we can get some interest. Well, I'm just praying for too much at this point, man, because I know that Byron Leftwich isn't gonna make adjustments. He's not going to look at this team and see where y'all strengths are. He's going to try to run the ball on first down. Then we're going to throw a screen pass on second down. That's not going to work. Really, the only person that's been able to pull off any kind of magic with a screen pass has been Chris Godwin. If that ball goes to Mike Evans or Leonard Fournette or any of the other guys on the screen, that's at most a 2-yard gain. We get into third and long probably more than any other team in the league. It's forcing a lot out of our offense, forcing a lot of 3 and outs. So y'all got that to look forward to, unless by God some miracle that our offensive coordinator decides like, yo, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to have Scotty Miller out there. He's going to go out deep, take the top off the defense, force y'all to cover him, open up some space down under the middle for Chris Godwin to cut across. Maybe, like have some slants in there, like shit that like normally gets guys open, especially, like we just need to get this done because we haven't seen it all year, and it's forcing us to only be scoring 18 points a game, and that's unacceptable when you got Tom Brady. So it's going to be an interesting game for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I can't tell if it's going to be a high-scoring game like for the 49ers or if it's going to be a low-scoring game for the 49ers, just because I don't know how dominant our defense is going to be, and if they're going to do it just like last week where they scored, a couple of defensive touchdowns, and it's just going to be a slugfest on the offense for us because your defense is that good, or if it's just going to be a blowout game. So it's going to be, it's going to be quite an interesting game for this weekend.
Man, I don't want to jinx shit, man, but last time I put a score prediction on a game, it was that Cleveland game. I predicted 27-21, and ultimately we ended up losing in overtime. But I want to get your score prediction. How do you see this going out?
I'm seeing a 31-10 score. That's what I'm saying.
Now you're just being disrespectful on my show, man. I haven't seen you in how long, and you come on my show and you disrespect me like that. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't know, man. Like I would probably say that's a lot of points, dude. For a rookie quarterback, that's a lot of points. I would expect y'all to run the ball a lot more. So time of possession is going to get affected. Maybe 21-17. I think this game will go. And I mean, I'm going to pick y'all to win, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's the other way, 21-17. So, but the only time we're ever scoring any points is against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks. Other than that, it's been boring as hell to watch our offense, unless it's the last minute of the game against the Rams or the Saints. So, but with that being said, man, we are coming up on 30 minutes. I want to thank everybody that tuned in to Talk the Plank. I want to thank my friend Ben for coming on. It's so great to see you, man. And hopefully I'll be able to brag, but more than likely you will coming up. Ashley is coming back. This is the catchphrase of this series, man, is Ashley is coming back. She will be my co-host again. She is coming back. I promise you she's coming back. And we cannot wait to get her back on the show so we can line up some more guests and have some great content coming out to you guys. Keep it locked in on Twitter at SaltyBuck91. Ben, if you got anything to plug, man, go ahead.
No, not much, man. Thanks for having me on your show. And, bang, bang, Niner game, bro.
Absolutely, bro. Go Bucs. Fire the cannons. Let's get this dub.